Welcome to this day, to this moment, to these people. Welcome all to Unity Church. Whether you are here with us in person or watching us live or later online, you are all now part of beloved community. This is Unity's Family Sunday, when all ages and stages of life gather together to celebrate the life we share, to mourn the losses we have sustained, and to be strengthened for the work of justice, and to ask, what does love ask of us this day? So we take a moment now to honor the land upon which we gather with these words adapted from Reverend Molly House Gordon. The word Minnesota comes from the Dakota word meaning sky-tinted water. And over thousands of years, the region eventually became an ideal environment for the prairie grasses and plants, which eventually covered 2/3 of this area.
Humans, too, nurtured the ground and stewarded this land. The earth and its people are relations, and when we honor the land, we also honor its traditional stewards across thousands of years. The two main tribes in this area are known as the Dakota, or Sioux, and the Ojibwa, Anishinaabe, or Chippewa, who lived in the area that we now call Minnesota.
This land has been shaped in relationship with its human stewards across generations. They have seen violent conflict and peaceful thriving across these thousands of years. This soil has nurtured the growth of children and witnessed the death of elders. This earth has received the blood of childbirth and the bones of the ancestors. These waters have sustained and soothed and threatened many lives. Let us honor this land and its long and ancient relationship with its people.
And as guests in this land, we seek a right relationship with it. We attend to the soil and the water and the plant friends and the bird friends and the animal friends by noticing and giving praise for the beauty around us, for its cycles of life and death and growth and decay. We greet this land with respect and gratitude for its nourishment in our time of study.
We turn and greet the great rivers. Say, please, after me, hello, great rivers.
Hello, great rivers. We greet the wise trees all around us. Hello, wise trees.
Hello, wise trees. And we give thanks for this place to be together. Thank you, Earth, for holding us.
Thank you,
Earth, for holding us.
Peace
So as we light our chalice, celebration of our community and the abundance of the life we share together, I'm actually going to ask the children to help me by accompanying me with some hand gestures. This is a practice that was done in the church that I'm also a member of in Charlottesville, Virginia. And they do this every week, not uncommon to many Unitarian Universalist churches. So it goes like this. This is a church of Unitarian Universalists, and actually everybody can help me with this, not just the children, Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open mind. And say it with me. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. And this is the church of the loving hearts. In this spirit, we light our chalice this morning. Let us give thanks for a bounty of people, for children who are our second planting, and though they grow like weeds and the wind too soon blows them away, may they forgive us our cultivation and fondly remember where their roots are. Let us give thanks
for generous friends with hearts as big as Hubbard's and smiles as bright as their blossoms, for feisty friends as tart as apples.
For continuous friends who, like scallions and cucumbers, keep reminding us that we've had them.
As sour as rhubarb and as indestructible. For handsome friends who are as gorgeous as eggplants and as elegant as a row of corn, and the others, as plain as potatoes and as good for you.
And serious friends, as complex as cauliflowers and as intricate as onions.
Friends as unpretentious as cabbages.
Sutter squash, as persistent as parsley, as delightful as dill, as endless as zucchini, and who, like parsnips, can be counted on to see you through the winter.
For old friends, nodding like sunflowers in the evening time, and young friends, coming on as fast as radishes.
For loving friends who wind around us like tendrils and hold us, despite our blights, wilts, and witherings. And finally, for those friends now gone, like gardens past that have been harvested, and who fed us in their times, that we might have life thereafter. For all these we give thanks.
Each time we gather for worship, we set aside a moment to expand the circle of caring ministry of this congregation. Together, we recognize the cycle of life and death, the circle of love, compassion, and witness that is at the center of this and every sacred community. We stand at the side of parents and teachers and all those whose primary spiritual practice is caring for children. And with those who live with grief or chronic pain, with illnesses seen and unseen, with mental disability and addiction, we support you. We pray for our neighbors in prison and those who care for family members in ill health, for those who struggle with loneliness, and those who strive to stay afloat amidst poverty. Our lives are blessed by those who face their final days with honesty, and by those who rise above heartbreak to challenge oppression in all of its forms. We care for you. We pray for those in harm's way, for the wisdom and strength of the leaders of the world, and for the people of this courageous congregation, as together we live into our longing to embody and to help to build the beloved community. We hold you. In our community today, we share in the mourning the death and celebrating the life of George Alexander, the father of Elizabeth Alexander, who died last Tuesday after 88 years of passionate ministry service, music, family, grace, and love. Our thoughts are with Elizabeth and her husband, Steve Harper, as they move through this tender time of grief and of gratitude. We send our prayers for healing and recovery to Kevin Harris, who has had surgery yesterday at Lakeview Hospital to repair a muscle tear in his left leg. And I've heard from Kate this morning the surgery was successful, and he will be spending some time in transitional care. Kevin and Kate would be happy to hear from Unity members. We also hold in our healing embrace Ellen Green, who has suffered a couple of TIAs, mini strokes, this past week, and is recovering at home. We send our prayers to Ken and Ellen. And we lift in our gentle embrace of care and healing prayers Ellen Wold and Larry Oberg. Larry is in the cardiac intensive care unit with pneumonia and kidney malfunction. We hold them in our loving care with prayers for healing. Cards are welcome, but Ellen asks that we don't text or call at this time. As this is a tender time of Thanksgiving, and it's interesting how tender giving thanks can be. So I invite you in this time together, in the silence of your heart or in this sanctuary, to share the names of those that you're holding close. Holy One, great Mother, creator of all things, we gather in gratitude this morning for the bounty and blessings of life, a spirit of life and love and compassion and tender mercies. In our thanksgiving, we pray for those among us and those beyond us who feel most alone this week. Those who will find the empty chairs at their table bring fresh grief for loved ones who are no longer here. May the remembrances bring thanks and great gratitude. For in our loving and in our pain, we know that we have lived. May all who hunger for food or shelter or love or relief from pain and loneliness feel the nourishing embrace of hope and healing that is sustaining and life-giving, that is community. That is why we gather. May it be so. Please join me in a moment of silence.
at a kitchen table, says the poet Joy Harjo. No matter what, we must eat to live. And it is at this kitchen table that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. I wonder what this table has to teach all of us. For the children who are joining us, as we do, come on down the aisle, join me up front for this story for all ages. Come on down. Good morning. Good morning. Older kids are welcome too. Good morning. Come a little closer. Okay. There's a saying that meals are for family, drinks are for strangers. Or another saying that a hot meal is so much more personal and intimate than a cold one. And I remember even the French saying that if you drink from someone's glass, you might even know their thoughts. All of these things tell us that food and eating and being at the meal table, it's not just about eating and food. It says something about human relationships. It shows something about who are friends and family. It says something about our community. And so I've been thinking about the Thanksgiving table. I've been thinking about people, family and friends and neighbors coming together and a kind of closeness and togetherness, a kind of larger family and community that is formed. I was thinking about that, and I remembered in 2015 in Denmark, there was a debate about the benefits of introducing a new school meal program that would bring nutrition and health compared to the lunch packs that were prepared by parents at home and brought to school. Well, there was some fierce debate and disagreement. The people who wanted this new school program, they said it's going to be so much more healthy and nutritious because there used to be a time when parents, especially moms, had time, but now all the parents are working. They don't have the time. And if you're from a low-income family, you might not even be able to get some of the best, healthiest, nutritious ingredients for the packed home lunch. Wouldn't it be much better? Well, the people on the other side said, well, I don't know about that. I'm a parent. It is my responsibility to know what goes in the mouth of my children. And who's to say these greasy fries and hamburgers and chips and etc. that are pre-made in these school lunches would be any better than what comes from home? And so this disagreement went back and forth, but after a lot of conversation between schools and parents and kids and nutritionists and chefs, everyone offered support. We ought to research this new school meal project, especially because they found out that it was inspired by the new Nordic cuisine, which is a high-end gourmet from places like Noma Restaurant, which was ranked the world's best restaurant in 2010 and 11 and 12 and 2014. So the people got excited about this research. But it wasn't just about nutrition and health. The people really hoped that a new school meal program might build a stronger community. Instead of bringing your home lunch packed with stuff that might smell, it might not be fresh, might not be what you want, but what your parents want, and getting teased and feeling embarrassed by other kids. And if you're coming from a low-income family or a high-income family, wouldn't it be so much better if everyone just ate the same shared meal that the school provided? And so, a new school meal project was undertaken. There were 834 children included in the study, ages actually 9 through 11, across 9 public schools. And for the first 3 months, all these 834 kids in the schools, they would be given school meals. And then, after those 3 months, they would do another 3 months where the kids would bring, as they usually did, packed lunches from home. The researchers were curious to see what they would find. But what they found was actually unexpected. Well, what about the Muslim community and the Muslim students who can't eat pork? Because there's a lot of pork in Denmark. And when the school said, well, we'll have halal chicken, halal meaning a special way that you prepare and serve meat and food according to Islamic laws. But the children wouldn't still eat the chicken or the halal food because they didn't know and they didn't trust where the food was coming from. It was even more surprising in the next 3 months when the kids brought packed lunches from home. There would almost on every day be kids who forgot to bring lunch, or they looked and they saw items that they didn't want to eat. Some of it was embarrassing leftovers from yesterday, or it smelled. And there was teasing, and sometimes there were mean jokes. That was a problem, and it is still a problem. But the researchers noticed something else. It shouldn't surprise you. They noticed kids swapping food and making exchanges like all the time. Oh, your mom gave you that cabbage thing too? You can have some of my carrots. And there were friendships that were being made. And cookies and cakes and so-called junk food, the kids were using the junk food to make alliances. I'll give you my Oreo if you would play on my soccer team. They were exchanging and talking even across gender and even across ethnicity and religious groups. The researchers were amazed how this new school meal project that was meant to strengthen the community actually ended up creating more differences and more tension. And they learned that maybe the traditional home-packed lunch had some wonderful ways of nurturing community. Because when a child opened up their packed lunch from home, it was home in a box. It was their family in a box. It was their culture in a box. It was their religion in a box. The school meals didn't have any room for home in a box. And in the school meals, very rarely did they see children exchanging items with one another. The researchers wondered, It's not perfect, but I wonder if we should be thinking more about packed lunches from home, because it brings so much more of who children are into the school. Yes, there are risks, and opening up a packed lunch makes children feel vulnerable. But boy, does it also come with a chance to share something more about ourselves. When I checked, as late as 2022, there is no national school meal program in Denmark. There are school meals, usually in the form of a school buffet, but the vast majority of schools in Denmark have children still bringing packed lunches from home. I'm thinking about that. As we gather at the table and share food, I wonder what kind of togetherness and closeness and sharing could happen. I wonder. Blessed Thanksgiving holiday. Let's stand and return to be seated with our families.
Our weekly offering is a meditation on generosity. And your support of the church is an expression of the promises we make to each other, to this community, and to the world. And the contributions you make enable us to do the work that we have pledged to do within our church community and out in the world. And each Sunday, the majority of our offering is passed on to community partners with whom we share a common cause. This Sunday, we are pleased to welcome Renee Meyer-Grimberg, who is representing the Partner Church Community Outreach Ministry team, who will invite our generosity and support of our partner church in Hommerod St. Peter and share some exciting news. So Renee, we are so glad you're here with us this morning. Please.
Good morning. When I visited the village in 2013 in Hommerod St. Peter, I went with two of our teenagers, and we journeyed to Budapest for a time, and then we got on the country roads and the bus with a bunch of other pilgrims from Unity. We joined a group of 140 members of this church, over 13 visits, who have been to the village and have created deep relationships with the people there. The village is about 200 people, and it has a bar, and it has a 9-pin bowling alley and a little store, and it also has a 750-year-old church, which we have also helped to restore, with the words on the steeple, Isten Eide, which means God is one. So here in this village, it's a vein of Hungarian minority Unitarians in the middle of Romania, where they practice Unitarianism and where the beginnings of Unitarianism started. So they have their own school. There's about 42 kids altogether from surrounding villages and 20 kids from our village that go to this school. It's in the heart of the village. There was, about a year ago, a threat to the school, and they threatened to close it because they were consolidating the schools in the different villages, and they thought ours was superfluous. Kinga Reka and Junjike, Kinga Reka is our minister there, and Junjike is the head teacher, gathered the parents together and reached out, and the school was saved through their efforts and through the support of the partner church team. So this year, we are doing this collection today in order to continue the programs that helped save the church, which include English and outreach for Romanian, because they speak Hungarian mostly, and also folk dancing, which enriches the school and keeps it vital, especially for many of the people who have come and returned to the village during COVID. It makes it easier and more interesting for them to stay. So that's what about the collection. It's for the school. The other exciting news that she mentioned is that the partner church team is planning a pilgrimage in August of 2024. We invite you to join us. We will be at the table talking with pictures also of the school and the school programs. Another part of the school program is the food. They offer food every day, which is interesting after the story we just heard. So the voyage will be about 2 weeks, and we will go to the village. You can find out more out at the table, and there will also be on January 28th a gathering after each of the services to talk more. And I hope you will join us to learn about it and experience the thing I loved when we went to the village, was they had this big tripod with a huge kettle on it, and everyone would gather to help cook. The women were working on the potatoes, and they were cutting and peeling. The lard would go in, the onions would go in, and the pot and everything would cook. And then the potatoes and the lamb, and then we'd have the paprika, and we'd have this huge goulash that the entire village would make for us. So maybe join us in August, and you can experience that as well at a long table next to the church.
Thank you so much. Exciting news about this new pilgrimage. Will the ushers please come forward? And we invite you to give as generously as you can today as we dedicate these offerings and ourselves to the greater work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community.
to sow the seeds. Plant a little happiness. Let the roots run deep. If it's love that we give, then it's love that we reap. If we want a garden, we're gonna have to sow the seeds. I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able, and bring us back together when the day is done. The door is always open, your picture's on my wall. Everyone's a little broken, and everyone belongs. Yes, everyone belongs. I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able, and bring us back together when the day is done. And bring us back together when the day is done.
Love that song. Thank you. Love, love, love that song. That was beautiful. Well, I remember the moment I graduated from the kids' table. Who remembers sitting at the kids' table? Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Every year at Thanksgiving, my family, along with the families of my two aunts, uncles, would gather at Grandma's house. And between the three families, there were 9 kids and not enough room at the large table for everyone. So the rickety card tables were brought out, and the paper plates and napkins and plastic glasses for the kids were set forth, and I was stuck at the kids' table with my 8 cousins, and it never went well. I didn't have much in common with my cousins. I was only one of 2 girls, and I was always a lot more interested in the conversations that were happening around the adult table. And I remember thinking as a kid how unfair it was to be relegated to a table just because of my age. But tradition was tradition. But one year, the second rickety card table broke. And the family took volunteers as to who would get to sit around the big table. Ooh, 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 me, 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 me. I immediately took my place at the head of the table, only to get a look from my mother that said, no, 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 not there. And that was the beginning of my introduction to the politics of table placement. Who gets to sit at the table and where they sit at the table was a subtle lesson in what I began to learn about much later in life. Who gets a place at the table and what happens around the tables in our lives matter. Now, this Thursday, of course, is the American holiday of Thanksgiving. And thankfully, most of us around this metaphorical table we call Unity Church will not be espousing or celebrating the myth of the first, quote, Thanksgiving, which indigenous peoples refer to as Thanksgrieving, an event which marks the beginning of an attempted genocide of indigenous peoples in North America. But many of us will be gathering around some kind of table this Thursday. Maybe you're a young adult who has been away at college or working away from home, out of town, and you're coming back to your parents' home for this holiday. Or maybe you're traveling, willing to brave the roads or the skies to land somewhere in time to sit around a table with family that perhaps you don't see very often, or friends you haven't seen in a while. And for some of us, this coming Thursday is a highly anticipated break from our normal routines. There can be something so deeply satisfying about those rituals and those foods which sustained us in our families of origin, of our cultural or ethnic heritage, that remind us of who we are, what our roots are, where we came from. For those of us gathering with chosen family and friends, it can be a time to get physically and spiritually fed with good food and good friends and good conversation with people who love you. The chance to be together as multi-generational family with kids running around, perhaps dogs or cats barking or purring their approval, with grandmother's aching back and Uncle Joe's bad jokes, all familiar, all a little bit chaotic, all exhaustingly wonderful. At the same time, some of us may be facing this Thursday with perhaps a certain amount of dread, knowing that after the hugs and the greeting, after the appetizers and wine or sparkling grape juice has been poured, there might be that moment when you know that the values you cherish, the values we speak of and attempt to practice here, may be questioned, challenged. So in many ways, I preach the same sermon on this Sunday year after year, because the same issues arise and will continue to arise as we attempt to find ways to live with one another while sharing vastly different values and perspectives on life. This is not a new phenomenon. It did not begin with the divisive election in 2016, or the proven lies about the 2020 election being stolen, or the approval among some Americans for the January 6th insurrection, or the ongoing support for a former president's racist, xenophobic, misogynistic, elitist platform. The belief system that undergirds these values have also been embedded in American life for a very long time. What is different, however, is an erosion of a shared sense of destiny, that as a diverse nation, it is our responsibility and obligation to ensure that all people are afforded the opportunity to live into the promise that some still call the American dream. That puts a lot of pressure on what happens around the table. So I had an experience like this around a relative's table. Let me tell you what happened. We were invited to dinner at a beloved relative's home, and all was going well until my husband's cousin, I'll call him Jim, started on a well-rehearsed rant about the natives. In his culture, the indigenous population's poverty and all the struggles that accompany that poverty were known and well documented in the local media. And the conversation with Jim would begin innocently enough. He would share something he heard in the news that week. And then he would build his case for why the indigenous population were a criminal element that should be taken care of. What taken care of meant was not clear, but what was clear was he wasn't talking about providing more money, resources, social services, analysis of how this poverty came to be, or support for the community. Now, no one around that table was indigenous, and yet in that moment, I felt the need to somehow interrupt, to counter that rant, to not let it go unchallenged. And at the same time, I was a guest in his home, and everyone was enjoying their meal as he was holding forth. I looked down at my plate. I wasn't sure what to do. And that's when my husband spoke up. He said as calmly and as matter-of-factly as possible, "Jim, I've heard you say these things before, and you must know by now I do not share your beliefs. I don't want to argue with you, but I also can't listen to it. So I'm going to leave the table for a few moments, and I'll come back in a bit when you're finished." And he started to get up. The silence was excruciatingly awkward. Everyone was staring at their plates at this point. And I can't say what was going on at Jim's mind in that moment, but I suspect that his love of family, of our family, was more important to him in that moment than his rant. So Jim motioned for my husband to sit back down, and he said, "Nah, it's okay, I'm done. And then after a pause, "Now, will you please pass me some more of my wife's famous dessert?" And the rest of the dinner and the evening went well, with lots of affection and laughter and teasing and shared memories. It didn't change Jim's mind, because these were well-fixed beliefs that no amount of arguing would dissuade. But it did interrupt the conversation in a way that both respected him as the host of this gathering and the decision to not be a silent partner to this racist rant. And it also respected the relationship that was extremely important to us, a person whom we loved and who loved us. Now, I understand not all gatherings may have such a happy ending. And for those of you who may be entering a landscape that feels very different from your daily lives here in the Twin Cities, know this: you have a secret power that you can call up any time. That secret power is Unity Church-Unitarian. That secret power is the conversations you've had here, the programs you've attended, the ways in which you continue to learn about the double helix, which is the linking of spiritual practice and anti-racist, anti-oppressive practices. You have a secret power of knowing that there are others who may be around that table who are struggling to find the right words at the right moment to interrupt casual, unexamined, unchallenged racism or homophobia or transphobia. You have the secret power of learning how to love when loving is hard, when it doesn't come naturally, when you're angry and you want to get up from that table and never return. You have the secret power of seeing inside another's heart, knowing that with the exception of an extreme and untreated narcissist, most people are struggling to be in relationship with one another. Most people really do want to sit at a crowded table because we know, as the song that we just heard, everyone's a little broken and everyone belongs. Everyone wants a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. So I'm a visionary and a pragmatist. My vision is of a welcome table which includes Israelis and Palestinians breaking bread together, sharing stories and scripture, swapping pictures of their drooling grandchildren, asking for advice on how to deal with their unruly teenagers. My vision is that immigrants from Mexico, Guatemala, India, China, the Philippines, El Salvador, Vietnam, Cuba, Korea, Haiti, Transylvania, Hungary, Guam, Guyana, Honduras, many, many more are all gathered around a huge table, groaning with food, fragrant with spices, and the laughter is loud, and the languages are diverse, and there's plenty of room and plenty of food, and no one is hungry, and everyone is fed. Because this is the table that God has made. This is the table built by human hands. This is the table that the Spirit of life itself sings to us in the hopes that we, as human beings, can make it so. How can we make it so? One conversation at a time. To look one another in the eye and say quietly and with conviction, I may not share your values, but I want to continue to share a history with you, to make memories with you. And maybe together we can find a way to love ourselves into a new future and write a new story. If we can do that, what happens around the table is nothing short of a miracle, nothing less than tikkun olam, the way we repair the world, nothing short of assalam balam, or peace among the nations. So may it be so for you, at whatever table you find yourselves this Thursday. And may you feel yourselves blessed, and may you be a blessing to others. Amen. And may it be so. Oh my God, the coughing. Oh my God. May it be so indeed. We hope you have found rich meaning in today's service, and we'll continue conversations in the parish hall after the service. Or if you're a newcomer, a visitor, and would like to find out more about Unity Church-Unitarian, then join me up in the Gannett room after this service, about 10:15, for Finding Yourself at Unity. It's a Q&A with the minister. A reminder, next Sunday's service is at 10 a.m. One service at 10 a.m. next Sunday. And also, there's no Wellspring Wednesday program this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, November 29th, I'm going to be leading a session on worship and on some of the changes that we've experienced during this interim time with your worship service. So I am sure I will hear an earload full at that Wellspring Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it. Two other quick things. There's an information session about mano a mano trips to Bolivia, which is, you can stop by Robin's Parlor after the service to learn about Mano a Mano's May 2024 trip to Bolivia. And everything else can be found on the website and also in your Finding Yourself at Unity insert this week. So now, let's rise and sing this traditional Thanksgiving hymn, which has been sung at Unity Church for at least 10 years. I've gone back in your orders of service. This is, I think it was probably Rob Eller Isaacs, one of his favorites. But let's join together and sing this now. go forth from this day with gratitude and thanksgiving. Go forth remembering that everyone's a little broken and everyone belongs at the abundant table of life. Take these words, this inspiration, and go forth into your day, into your week, with love in your heart and hope for the future. May it be so, and amen. Thank you. Good to see you, Robert.
Listen to the daily bread and the nightly prayer. Listen to the newborn baby and the empty chair. Listen to the promise made and the story told. Listen to the hidden need and the inner gold. Listen to the open hand and the furrowed brow. Listen to the long-lost dream and the here and now. Listen to the sum of all the broken parts. A meeting of the mind begins with a meeting of the heart. Intertwined with every thought is a tender strand that life has wrought. There's a hope, a fear, a love, a dream. Radiant through each deep belief. Intertwined, intertwined. That is how we're all designed. Look within and you will find heart and mind intertwined. Listen to the daily bread and the nightly prayer. Listen to the newborn baby and the empty chair. Listen to